Why do you lose interest the moment she gets close? Why does your desire drop off as soon as the connection is felt and becomes great, right? You think that you're just not that into her, right? You've been telling yourself that for years, right? But the truth is it's not her, it's you. It's a reflex that you have. It's a pattern. You can look back through your past and you can see this is a pattern that keeps repeating itself, right? And you can also see, and I know this from personal experience of the men that I work with, if you do not solve this pattern, you will continue to experience the frustration, the hurt, the regret, and that general feeling that you have that you are missing out on the love that so many of your friends and the people you see on the street are having, right? You know this. I'm David Chambers. I'm a men's dating, relationship and intimacy coach, and I've been working with men from all over the world, particularly helping them around this sort of pattern of distancing when things get emotionally close, because this is what I used to do. This is the pain that I used to experience. And now, like after I've done some work with that and I've followed the things that I'm about to tell you today, I'm now in a beautiful relationship for 5 years, 6 years actually coming up in a few days. And I've got a 1-year-old son who I love deeply, right? And I guide many men through this exact same experience of having this pattern of distancing from love. And I've guided them into healthy relationships, right? Wonderful dating lives and deeply connected, experiences. So what are we going to talk about today? So today we are going to give you some practical tools to stop doing this, right? Ultimately, and also start to figure out when you need to back away and when you need to not back away, right? That's one thing we're going to talk about. And then we're going to get into the pattern itself, why you do it, yeah, why you do it, why it happens, where it comes from. And then lastly, I'm going to give you kind of this 3-step framework, right? Which is, it comes down to, what's it called? Deactivating, awareness, and then transformation, right? In these 3 steps. So let's first get into why you do this. It's in the word that I said just now, deactivation, right? This is to do with your attachment system. Our attachment system is created, is formed, is grown in the first few years of our life. So right now, my son, Bjorn, at 1 year old, his attachment system is in like trying to figure out how is it safe to attach and connect to people. And the people he connects to most are me and Orsa, right? So he's figuring out, not consciously, his nervous system is figuring out, is it safe to attach? Is it safe to ask for love? Is it safe to be close, right? Is it safe for me to leave and then come back? When they leave, are they going to come back, right? And what happens to many of us is in the early days of our lives, our parents, not because they're malicious and bad, just because they have faulty programming and they had parents that had faulty programming too, right? They don't attach to us healthily. Yeah. And then that means that we're either kind of scared of love, right? We distance ourselves from love because we are afraid that it's going to hurt us or it's going to be inconsistent, or we are preoccupied with love and we want it, right? And we're nervous about being on our own. And then there's people who kind of sit in between, who kind of bounce between the two. But those are the kind of 3 places of insecure attachment. And then there is secure attachment, which is ultimately, I'm comfortable with love. I have no fears. I'm okay with it, right? So for you, this is deactivation, which is you distancing, right? Because somewhere in your history, there's fear around love, right? Maybe you had a distant parent, right? Or they were inconsistent, or they didn't show love and affection. That's often the very common ones, right? Or you maybe have had abusive parents, right? And it's hard sometimes to look at our parents and say they weren't perfect, but my parents were definitely emotionally shut down, and I can see where that happened. And what this causes you to do, your attachment system, right, is you look for faults. You look for things that are wrong. You are overthinking. You are worried about, hurting women, about being trapped, right, as well. That's what comes up for you, right? You distance yourself from love because as a part of your autonomy, like that is searching for threat. Your nervous system is searching for a threat. And threat, your nervous system, right, your mind, interprets connection and love as a threat to you, your safety and your independence, right? And it lands to you as pressure, right? It lands to you as like it's going to engulf you and take you and you will no longer exist. That's at that kind of subconscious level that you don't notice, right? You might be aware of the emotions and feelings, maybe, or the stress that it feels like, or the overthinking it brings on, but you might not be completely aware of that. So what happens is you distance. So what your body does is you meet someone you like, it goes well, and then suddenly panic alarm bells, like those ringing bells, right? Like when you're at school, it's like that. And you're like, oh shit, there's something wrong. And you might not think about there's something wrong, but your body feels stressed and worried and anxious, because if you fall in love or you get close to someone, the unconscious fear is that you will lose your independence. That might be very conscious for you, or that you will be engulfed, enmeshed, and you can't trust the other person to be there for you, right? You probably always experience worrying about, can I trust people? Can I tell them how I feel? They're not going to tend to my emotions and feelings. They're not going to look after them. They're going to use them against me. That's probably also some things you think, right? So where this also shows up, this deactivation, is in kind of post-intimacy, post-sex distancing, right? You meet someone, you go on a date, you have a great date, you sleep together. Maybe moments after you're having sex, you feel panic, guilt, worry, stress, pressure, any of those or all of those. So then you try and distance. You might just roll to the other side of the bed. The next day, you might not message them. You might start overthinking and thinking, oh God, do I really like them? If I do like them, then she's going to think that, if I like her, then we're going to have to get in a relationship, then we have to get married and we have to have kids. And I'm not sure if she's right for me. The mind might do that projection into the future, right? Another thing you do is you devalue the value of relationships, right? You devalue the value of connection, right? You might start questioning, is the spark there? Is it not there? Do I fancy her? Do I not fancy her? And then you start getting into this story of the future, right? You're probably following me and thinking like, nodding along like, oh shit, David, this is me. Yeah. Another thing you do, it causes this pushing away, is you have a suppression of your emotional regulation. You don't know how to regulate your emotions. And what's that? It's being able to be okay with what we're feeling, right? And to come back into some sort of middle grounded place and having the tools to do that ourselves. Really important aspect, right? So you get stressed, and your way to deal with stress often is to overthink or to avoid the thing that's stressing you, or to distract yourself with something else, right? Instead of facing the stress, which might be having a conversation with her, sitting and journaling about how you feel, like going and talking to her, that sort of thing. You avoid the thing. And this just creates this same loop again and again and again, right? Because then you get close to someone, you distance, you pull away, you feel stressed, you might pull away some more, you don't communicate what you're feeling or what's going on. They get stressed. They might try and pursue you. That makes you feel more stressed. You might then end things. And then months later, you're like, I wish I'd done something different. I really like them. That could have been really amazing. And then you fantasize. And some of you might even try and get back with the person and create the whole loop again. Why do I describe it so well? Because this was my life. I did this so many times. My clients do this. Well, before they meet me, they do this. Once they meet me, they don't do this anymore. And this is real. It happens to a lot of us. And I want to say something. This is not a man thing. Yeah. A lot of the world believes that this is how men are, and it's not how men are. Right. And there's many things you can do about it. As I sit here as someone who this doesn't happen to me anymore. Right. I'm in a relationship now, and I'm not constantly, needing to distance and, so forth. I can communicate. I need some space. Right. It's okay. I can talk about how I feel and what I need and so forth. So what do you do about this? This is really important, because if you don't change what you're doing, you're going to keep getting the same result. One of the really important things you need to do. So as I said, that's I'll just go back. That's the deactivating piece, right? The awareness piece, right? So what can you do about it? The first thing is awareness, right? Awareness is like, oh, I do this thing. So it's like mapping the early signs, right? Really important. Oh, I've met someone. Oh, I'm feeling this need to create space between us. Or I am feeling unsure about them. Warning signs. Ding, ding, ding. Right? Notice the signs. I've got close to someone. I'm feeling hijacked by lots of stories. I feel tight in my chest. I feel like I can't speak openly. I'm looking for problems in her. But you become aware of it. The difference between what you're probably doing now is you believe this is the truth. You believe the thoughts are there. You believe the stress is real. You believe she's putting pressure on you, right? You believe that's all the truth. And switching to awareness is being aware of these things occurring in your mind and in your system. And this is the second step of making change, right? So, really important. That's the thing you need to do more than anything. Really, really important to do. And often this can be really difficult to do this alone, right? And if this is something you want to go deeper into, I'll just mention it now. I've got my program, my signature program now, Breaking the Chains of Avoidance, which has helped tons of avoidant guys, right? Which, you know, you are. That's what we're talking about here. If you've been non-long, avoidant attachment, that's where you're coming from. And help them go into secure attachment, get into relationships. You know, I got a beautiful message from a guy a few weeks ago, just telling me he just got into a beautiful relationship with somebody off the back of the program I ran last year, right? So, and the guy just come out of the program. He hadn't dated for years. He's back into dating again. Yeah. Guys are deepening their relationships, all sorts of things. So if you're interested in that, that starts at the end of September, the 24th September. The link's down below to get involved or to find out more and get in contact with me. We can have a conversation about that. So what's the third part of this trifecta, this 3-step? It's really about the transformation is taking the awareness and turn that into action, right? Turn it into doing something differently, right? So the first aspect you can start to do this with is titration of closeness with somebody. Titration, what does that mean? Slowly leaning in, right? So what your normal habit is to do is, I'm getting close to someone, get the fuck back, right? That's what you do. You get the fuck back. So what I am inviting you to do is go, I'm getting close to someone, I want to run away, is just to lean in a little bit, right? And this is for you to have to do some work and think, like, what does that mean for you, right? If the thing you want to do is like stop texting them, not see them, not speak to them, leaning in might be just saying, hi, staying in connection, in conversation, right? For some of you, it might be to talk about how you've been feeling. I've been having some feelings of unsureness about where this is going. I'm feeling like, you're looking for a relationship. I feel pressure, and having a conversation, right? I had a client who did this. It really surprised him. He said to the girl he's dating, started dating, he was like, I'm feeling like this pressure. I like you. And, I feel like if we continue, then we're going to have to get into a relationship. And she was like, nah, we barely know each other. We can take months to get to that point. And instantly relieved. Oh yeah, just making up in his head, right? Communicating, titrating that closeness and the communication, right? Really, really important. Another thing you can do on your own, and this is again part of the transformation piece, the action, turning the awareness into action, is disclosing your own emotions. And I kind of touched on it before, but disclosing how you feel, not just to the person you're dating, the woman you're dating, but maybe to friends. Hey, I have this thing I've been feeling about this person, and talking to them about it. Emotional disclosure. Because what often happens to us as men, especially, right, and as men with this pattern, is we get up to here with feeling, right? Imagine we're like a bucket. We get to the top of the bucket, all this feeling and emotion, and we never like turn a tap to let some out, right? And this kind of emotional expression for people in your life turns the tap. It lets out some of that feeling and emotion. So you don't get to this full stage or overflowing, which is often numbness and stress, right? You're constantly turning the tap a little bit and expressing yourself to people in your life and the person that you're dating. You're saying how you're feeling, blah, blah, blah. Goes a really, really long way, right? So the last thing I'm going to tell you about, in this section, because I think this is the really important bit, right, is about repair. So when you do withdraw, which you will, right, is repairing it, right? It's part of the transformation, right? This is a real loop. You've withdrawn, right? So at this point of like deactivation, then you realize that you've done it, right? And then you go into this transformation. The transformation piece here is going, hey, I realized I created some distance. I didn't message you for 2 or 3 days. I'm sorry about that. Like some of my fears started to come up, right? That might feel like a really big thing for you to do, right? But this is how you create consistency and trust between you and that person. Because when you can actually express to her what is actually happening, You stay in connection. Because what you do with this deactivation is you break the connection. And any relationship needs people to kind of stay in connection and attempt to stay in connection, right? And this is the work for you. This is the most important thing for you to do, right? And there's a bunch of other stuff I had written down, but it's just a lot, right? I can't tell you all the stuff in this one conversation. So what's the summary of the stuff I talked about? Deactivation, your system relating to connection and others, a threat, right? Post-intimacy distancing. These are all the problems of what's like hurting you and is creating the cooling off, the backing off, right? Suppression of emotional regulation and feelings. And this kind of desire to protect yourself, right? And then we talked about the 3-step framework, which is, deactivation, awareness, transformation. And inside the awareness is mapping the signs of your shutdown, of your attempt to distance, right? And then the transformation, one of the aspects of that is the titration, the slowly getting closer, right? Leaning in instead of leaning out, right? Taking action, expressing your emotions, expressing your feelings as well. Another one of these, what's going to bring you closer and help you overcome this pattern, is to speak to people in your life about how you're feeling, what's going on for you, letting off that tap so the bucket doesn't start to overflow. And then the last one I mentioned, which is probably maybe the hardest one to do, right? But the one that will create the most growth and the most transformation for you is the repair of the withdrawal, the repair of the distancing, repair of the deactivation, is going and taking responsibility and speaking about it and not listening to the fear that comes up that tells you that if you do that, they're going to hate you because they'll respect you way, way more. So that's the summary. That's the video. It's all the details in there. If you're interested in breaking the chains of avoidance, because this is where 12 weeks, you get held by me and the other men in the group, all the same, not feeling any guilt or shame because we're all in it together and moving through the various aspects, right? In here, I talk about everything from why you break connection, the history of your attachment, how to create deep intimacy and connection, how to lead in, right? I give you practices, breath practices, embodiment practices, writing practices to help you do some of this stuff about being more open and honest emotionally so you can practice in your life and you practice in the group, because practice is the thing you need. As well as we talk about leadership, like how do we lead a relationship to the place we want to get to, even when we have all these fears. We talk about the inner critic, that voice in your head that tells you all the negativity and the judgments. We talk about how to dissolve that, right? So all this stuff is in this 12-week program. It's an amazing program. It's transformational for so many men. So if you're interested, down below, you can put me an email or you can go to the page that has all the details on it. I will have a little freebie as well coming out. And actually, the freebie is down below. I didn't mention that. There's a freebie about when I go deeper into how to move through this whole experience of distancing. So that's down there as well. So until next time, ciao, ciao.